Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as I show you some beautiful flowering trees and shrubs in my yard right now. So let's go. Today is May 11th, and you can see behind me there is some beautiful color going on in my yard right now. And I wanted to take this opportunity and showcase some of the beautiful trees and shrubs that are blooming currently in my yard. Now keep in mind, these are perennials in my yard. They may not be a perennial in your yard. So what I'll be sure to do is put up information about each of the plants that I'm talking about, just so you know whether or not it's hardy in your zone. But I think this video will prove to be great inspiration for you, that it's so nice to just look for different trees or shrubs that are blooming in the early spring months when not a lot of other color is happening in the yard. And when it comes to telling you the different varieties of plants in this video, keep in mind I didn't keep the tags of things when I bought them. For example, this right here, I didn't even buy it. When we bought the house, this was already planted here. But I'll at least at a high level tell you what they are so that you can do a little more research and see if it's something that would fit your garden. So let's start with this beauty. This is called a small leaf rhododendron. Now, a lot of people, when they think of a rhododendron, they think that they have a nice big leaf on them. Yes, there are the big leaf rhododendrons, but this specifically has a smaller leaf, and you can see that it is in its glory right now. It has a nice fuchsia or a hot pink color to it, and I absolutely love it. I've often wondered, should I keep it in this bed or should I remove it? I want to know from you, what do you think? I think it's very pretty. In the past, I've size controlled it to keep it a little bit smaller, but honestly, for the last few years, I really haven't touched it, and I wonder if I should be size controlling this. I'm 5 feet 4 inches, and so you can see they get pretty big in size, but I really do love this color in the springtime when there's not a lot of other color in my bed here. I often refer to this bed as my south side walkway garden bed. Very close to my south garden bed, if we pan this way and just look down over here, this is what I refer to as my old arbor vitae bed. I used to have 3 arbor vitae planted in this bed, and last year I made a video and together we redid a bunch of plants in here. And one of the things we did was we planted some more small leaf rhododendrons. I'm going to take you in for a closer look just so you can see what they look like. I dug these up from my mother-in-law's house after she passed away. And you can see they have a beautiful pink color. And the reason why they are so small is because I had planted them up along my driveway. And honestly, the conditions were not right for them. They received too much shade. So last year we dug them up from my driveway and we put them in this bed temporarily because they were so small. But as you can imagine, over time, these are going to get much bigger. And you can see down over this way here, there are a few more. I think in this bed, I have a total of 5 or 6 of these. So eventually, over time, these will need to be moved out of here. Maybe one can stay. But for right now, I have quite a few in here. It's almost like a nursery. I'm treating it as a rehab center for these rhododendrons. But you can see that they have a lot of new growth on them. Only 2 of them bloomed, but I am so happy to see them blooming. I love the color. When it comes to the small-leafed rhododendrons, typically there's PJM rhododendrons, which are lavender in color, or there's Olga rhododendrons, which are pink in color. So if I had to make my best guess, I would say these are Olgas. I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, what is that? That's an old-fashioned bleeding heart. I'll be doing a separate video showing you different perennials that are blooming in my yard that are not trees or shrubs. But let's focus on the trees and shrubs for today. So as we move this way, it's very, very small. Again, came from my mother-in-law's house. I'll take you in for a closer look. But in this bed, I have a number of these. Let's take a closer look. Here's another rhododendron, the Olga variety. I planted this here last year. Again, it came from my mother-in-law's. It looks very healthy and it only has a few blossoms. So I'm patient. I'm going to wait and let it grow on. And hopefully next year it puts on a better show for us. We're going to keep moving down this way and see what's blooming over there. You can see here's another one. Again, it's another Olga and it's quite large, but it only had a couple of blossoms. The other thing I'm going to focus on is I'm going to get better about fertilizing. I have a lot of rhododendrons in my yard, and I just didn't get out here in time to fertilize everything. But I'm going to get better about it because that could be part of the reason why there's only a few blossoms on some of them. But the big thing is it looks healthy and it's getting bigger each year. And we are going to continue going down this way. This color is very similar to the color that we just looked at over in my side walkway garden bed. It's a nice hot pink color, and this piece is quite large. And what's nice with rhododendrons is you can actually take some suckers from the bottom and you can propagate that way. And that's kind of what I've done over the years, to be honest with you, is I've just taken pieces off the bottom, dug them out, and moved them around my yard. It's just a great way to add to your stock of flowering shrubs, such as rhododendrons. From here, we're going to go down that way. And this is yet another Olga. They're pretty small because I had, again, dug them from my mother-in-law's. And, it just takes some time to recover from that. But I think that over the years, they will get bigger. But they're alive, they're blooming, and they look so pretty. From here, we're going to keep traveling down this way. And there's something very pretty that's blooming down there. I'll show you what it is. So we were over there, and we made our way this way. And there are a lot of beautiful things in this bed here. But what we're going to focus on is this right here. This is a spirea, also known as bridal wreath. I got this from my mother-in-law's as well, and I've divided and moved it around my yard. To be honest with you, I like it here. I think this spot is nice, but I feel like it's kind of hidden. I don't see it as much where it is. So I'm definitely going to try to move it to other places of my yard, but I have pieces of it, so I can take from that. But just look at how delicate and pretty these white flowers are. I am absolutely in love with the spirea, and I have two different kinds. This one definitely blooms earlier. And again, I don't know the kind or the variety, but the main thing for you to know is that it is a spirea and it's a bridal wreath. And this one, as you can see, is blooming right now. And then I have another one that blooms later than this, which is actually nice. It's nice to have two different types of spirea or bridal wreath that bloom at different times. And if you look down there, that's the rhododendron that we were looking at. And if you can look very carefully, right there, there's a little bit of white. And that's a spirea that I had divided off of this main one. And again, it's not an optimal place. It's a little bit hidden, but I wanted to show you that it's in this bed. And as you move along this way, we head basically into the part of my yard where my compost pile is. But if you look ever so carefully, and you'll see a little bit of white there, that's another piece of spirea that I had moved over there. I had originally wanted to make kind of a small like pattern or hedge in this bed, but I'm not loving it, and that's okay. I'm planning to move pieces of the spirea to other parts of my yard. And notice at the base, what happens again with spirea, just like the rhododendron, is they send suckers off the bottom. And that's how I've been able to propagate from it, is just by looking for a piece that's come off the bottom and digging that piece up. For example, if I wanted to, this one right here, I could go in and I could just take a shovel and cut this piece out and move that to somewhere else in my yard. And again, here's the one that I was just showing you that I want to move. And it's not the best place for it, but if you look at the base, again, there's one piece that's going straight up like that. And that piece is a great little piece, even if it's not blooming. If I wanted to take that, I could take that and move that to somewhere else. So they are really, really easy to divide and propagate. I'll be showing you in future videos my process for doing that. But for right now, I want to wait for these to bloom. And after they're done blooming, I'm absolutely going to be moving them around. As we move from the south side of my house, and we basically head towards the front of my house, that is west facing. And I have some beautiful Olga as well as PJMs that are blooming or have bloomed along the frontier. So on this side as well as on this side, I have two PJMs. And the way I remember PJM is purple, but they're more of a lavender color. But either way, so two PJMs over there, and then behind me is an Olga, which is a pink color. And you can see that the PJMs bloomed first, and then the Olga is now about to bloom. It's all budded up. And I like that. I like having that succession. I used to be really good about size controlling these. And it's a lot to keep a lot of these types of shrubs size controlled. I like them here, but I don't love them here. So there's a very high possibility I'll be digging all three of these out and moving them to somewhere else in my yard because this is my front walkway and I think I want something a little more easier to control, a little more formal. But either way, I think they're beautiful. I want to keep them in my yard and I want to take you in for a closer look just so you can see what they look like. I really think it looks so pretty with the purple petals that have fallen. The bees have been going crazy. They absolutely just love all this color and all these flowers. We're still in the front yard of my house, and as we head down this way, I have made planting areas, basically where the lawn ends and the woods begin. And I want to show you some beautiful things down this way. Now, I realize this is not blooming, but it is so pretty. I just had to show you. This is a small Japanese maple. And my mother-in-law had a big, huge Japanese maple tree in her yard. And it used to have little seedlings everywhere. So one year she dug up a few for me. And I have one I'll show you that I know that she dug up for me. And then after she passed away, I dug up a few more seedlings from her yard, and this is one of them. And look how big it is. I mean, it's gotten quite large. I want to say I dug this up in 2018, the year that she passed away, and it's now 2024. Yes, they are slow to grow, but patience, my friends, patience. And more than anything, it's just something that's very delicate to my heart because it came from her yard. Very close to this red Japanese maple tree is a flowering crabapple tree. I bought it a few years ago from a big box store. And the reason I bought it was because my parents used to have one in their yard and it brought back a lot of fun memories for me. So I want to show you it. It's right over here. Now, this is not blooming yet, but I still had to show you because it's all budded up and pretty soon it's going to be in its glory. And don't worry, I'll be sure to make an update video when my lilacs are blooming. And I'm sure this will be blooming around the same time. Can't wait. Right there is the flowering crabapple tree. But when I was looking out here, just right behind it, I noticed some of my wild blueberry bushes are blooming. And even though they're wild, I had to show you. So right there. And I love coming out here and picking blueberries. Even if they're really small, they're still very tasty. Big thing is trying to get them before the birds get to them. I have one over here. I have another one that's over here, one over here, and plenty more. Where those came from, all out there. As we head away from this bed, we're basically going towards my backyard. And that is the north side of my house. And you can see out in the distance, there's something very pretty. And I'll bring you in. I'll show you what that is. But before we get there, there are some little flowering beauties that I want to show you over here. One of the challenges I face, although I'm not sure if it's a challenge, but with making these flower beds where the lawn ends and the woods begin, the backdrop is leaves and trees. And I try to plant different types of shrubs and trees along the way just to give some interest. And I think that's okay, but I wanted to definitely bring you in closer so you can see some of the beautiful things that are almost hidden that are blooming in here. This is called a flowering quince, and I bought it a number of years ago, I believe from a big box store. One of my goals this year is to figure out how to propagate it. If you've propagated it before, I'd love to know how. Did you do it through cuttings, or did you just get a sucker off the bottom? One year there was a sucker. I did take it off from the bottom and I moved it to a different area and it didn't survive, but I think it's because I didn't keep it well watered. So I'm pretty sure you can propagate these pretty easily from suckers that form at the bottom. But there are not a ton of blooms on it. And a lot of times when I see flowering quince, I notice that. And that's something else I would like to master. What does it take to get your flowering quince to really bloom out fully? Because the blooms are very, very pretty, but there's just not a lot of them. But the ones that are there, boy, they are so pretty and I'm really enjoying them. As we head this way from the flowering quince, I want to show you, you can't really see it, but if I take you in close enough, you're going to see something very pretty. So this is called a flowering almond, and I received this as a small piece from my mother-in-law's yard. And I really, really, really want to get a lot more pieces from this. And I'm going to try to take it with cuttings as well as from the base. I'm going to try to see if there's suckers, which I'm pretty sure there are. But let me bring you in closer so you can really look at this. Look how pretty that is. I love the color this time of year. Again, I do have some things blooming, but things are really just still waking up in my yard. After all, I still have things like daffodils blooming. So to enjoy different shrubs and trees in bloom right now is really nice. If you look carefully at the base of the flowering almond, there is one sucker right there that I could dig. And then over here, this is the mother plant. And as we head away from the flowering almond and just barely go this way here, you'll see something else blooming. Well, I'm super excited because clearly when I dug out the spirea from my mother-in-law's, I then moved it around my yard. So you can see there's some here, a piece, and look at this pretty piece here. And what I really like, even though the placement of these is, I would call it temporary, is that they're alive, they're thriving, they are looking beautiful, and they are waiting for their new home. And you better believe I will be taking you in future videos, and we're going to move these around into areas where we can really, really, really enjoy them next year. I can't wait. It's just a matter of a few more weeks waiting for these to go by, and then we will start dividing and moving these around because they just are so pretty. And again, it's worth stressing, these right here, these are just basically suckers that are at the bottom of the spirea. And if you follow it down, they are so easy to just dig up and move to different parts of the yard. And they're very close by to the bigger spirea mother plant. Okay, let's go that way. Here's the red Japanese maple that my mother-in-law gifted me a number of years ago. And it's taller than me, so it's a nice size seedling, which, or tree, I guess, at this point. And I don't love, I mean, it's pretty, but it looks like it could probably be happier somewhere else. So eventually I would like to move this to a different place just because it's kind of out here in the woods and I'm not sure if it's the best placement. I'm not in a rush though with this one because, there's so many other projects to do this time of year and I don't want to kill it. I want it to be okay and, so it's going to do its thing. And who knows, I might change my mind. I might never move it, but I really, really love it. As we head away from this flower bed here, we're still in my backyard, but I want to take you in to the other side of my backyard for the last flowering shrub that I have. And it's down this way here. I said this was the last one, but I actually looked down that way and saw something else that's budded up. This is a forsythia, and I have a couple of different ones. I had one that bloomed earlier on. It's down at the end of my driveway, and it looked really pretty. And then when that one went by, these forsythia started blooming. These ones are a little bit more wild. And what I like about forsythias is they absolutely send their suckers at the base of the plant. The best time to prune any of these plants, by the way, that bloom in the spring is right after they're done blooming. And especially when it comes to forsythia, they get a bad rap sometimes. Sometimes people say they're too wild, they're too crazy. But if you prune them right after they bloom and get them to the shape that you want, they'll have time to set their buds and they'll look pretty for next year. And I'll be sure to show you my process for doing that. But I don't want to do it yet. I want to enjoy these beautiful blossoms. But as soon as they're done blooming, you better believe it. I'll be digging up some of the suckers, moving them around the yard, and I will also be pruning them so that they have a nice form, a nice shape for next year. This forsythia is very close by in proximity to the one that I just showed you. And you can see that this actually is starting to go by. There are still a few blossoms left, but for the most part, it's gone by. So pretty soon, I really need to be cutting this one way back and taking the suckers and moving them around. And there's the mother plant, but again, I know it's a squirrely mess in here, but if you look carefully, right here at the base, that is a sucker that I could easily take and move to somewhere else. And trust me, there are plenty of suckers in here, so I'm going to have a lot of fun moving things around. As we move away from this forsythia here and head down this way, I'm going to show you something else that's blooming. I moved this small leaf rhododendron here last year, so I'm pretty sure that's why it's, budded up a little bit, and it will put blooms out, but it definitely probably could benefit from a little bit of fertilizer, a little bit of TLC, but it's, overall it looks pretty good. So you can see it has some really pretty pink flowers to it. As we head away from this small leaf rhododendron, there is one last thing that's budded up. It's not blooming yet, but it's worth mentioning, and it's right over here. This is a honeysuckle, and I'm almost sure it's just a wild honeysuckle. In some places, it may be considered invasive, but it hasn't been invasive in my area here. And once it's blooming, again, I'll be sure to show you how pretty it looks when it's in bloom. But it is budded up for right now. You can see this is a hosta garden, and I just wanted to give you some perspective just so you can see where we're at. So again, we're on the east side of my house, and when you leave the hosta garden, that's where some of these flowering trees and shrubs are that I showed you, recently, like the forsythia and rhododendron. And then, there's a wood chip pile here. There are a bunch of different plants planted in here, and then my backyard. And we're back where we started. I really hope you enjoyed this mini tour of flowering trees and shrubs that I have going on in my Zone 5B garden early to mid-May. And I'll definitely be doing another video showing you different perennials that are flowering in my yard right now. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave them down in the comment section below. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.